Let's talk about the most dangerous animal on the planet. The single, broke, sexless male. Whenever you hear of a hostile shooting or a widespread shooting or mass shooting, you'll go back and it'll be one of these guys. He'll be single, he'll be broke, he won't have a good social life, he won't have a good sex life. And these men are being groomed by the dozens. And this is one of the reasons that the male content channels on YouTube are, what's the word? Let's say bias. Let's go ahead and say bias. And this is why the male channels that do well demean, demote, humiliate, look for women making errors. And this is why these channels do really well, because of the most dangerous animal on the planet. And there's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot to it. Now, we don't want to classify, I would say that these people are neck and neck with demo people. They're neck and neck. But one of the things that is happening is we're producing more and more of these people. These dangerous people who will wake up one day and just say, you know what? I'm going to go to the mall and just shoot a bunch of people. I really want you to think about that. How depraved do you have to be to wake up with that ideal in your mental? That we're just going to go out, we're just going to go shoot a bunch of people, we're just going to go out and harm a bunch of people, we're just going to do this thing to people we don't know, never met, people haven't done anything to us, but we're going to do this to these people. And one of the things that's happening, and I'm going to take you through my theory of what I think is happening. Let's go way back. Let's go back to your grandfather. When your grandfather was growing up, there was expectations of what it was to be a masculine male. There was expectations, there was a pathway. It started to change after your dad. And right now, the number of men, like, what is it today to be a man? What is it today to be a man? And essentially, you will have a very wide sphere of what it is to be a man. You will see guys who are in the NFL come on television with nail polish on. This 230, 40, 50 pound dude has nail polish. And you will see a lot of maybe gender blending, but what it is to be a man today is very different than what it was to be a man yesterday. And because there's such a wide spectrum of what it is to be a man, it's a big thing to be a man today. It's a very wide spectrum. There's a lot of confusion. And this kind of brings me to trans. Now, once again, we're not going to start hating on trans people, but I've been doing a little research, and the number of people who went trans, a little girl who wants to be a boy or a little boy that wants to be a girl, there's a lot of these people who are detransitioning, which means that this little boy who transitioned into a girl, now he's transitioning back into a little boy. And more than likely, if they just got on hormones and they did not have sexual reorientation surgery, they can pretty much do this. And there's a girl, she's having a lawsuit against her doctors because they cut her breast off. So in today's world with gender, we have a lot, in my opinion, confusion. And with the trans, the homosexual, with the LGBT, whatever you want to call them, there's a wide variety of what it is to be a male. And a lot of these young boys who are brought up in single mother households with no masculine influence fall prey to these things. There's a guy here on YouTube by the name of Chris Williamson. He has a podcast, and they were having a conversation about the sexless male. And this is huge. This is huge. Right now, because of Twitter, Bumble, whatever other dating sites there are, men are really put in a very bad category because only the top 20% of men are chosen on these dating apps, because it's and now these dating apps are based on game theory, if you didn't know that. Now, essentially you swipe left, you swipe left, you swipe right, and essentially there's not enough of a presence for you to really make an impression. And because I'm not on any dating apps, so I don't really know. But I think the way that the majority of these dating apps are designed are to provoke that game theory to keep you on the dating app. And let's have this conversation. Dating apps were not designed for you to win. They were not. Dating apps were not created for you to be successful. Dating apps were not created for you to find your match. Dating apps are businesses that were created to keep you on the app. This is one of the reasons that so many people really struggle on dating apps. I will go back 2006 or 7-ish, and I was on Match.com, and it would literally take me 2 to 3 days to meet someone. 2 to 3 days. And just depending on how much time I put onto it, 2 or 3 days actually. And when I say contact someone, have a conversation, and say, hey, let's go out, 2 to 3 days to get to that. Now, you can be on these dating apps forever and just trolling, because if you're not in that top 20%, and once again, understand, the dating apps are designed to make sure that you fail, because they don't want you to come on the dating app and find someone in 2 or 3 days. They don't want you because that's less money for the dating app company. So this is one of the contributing factors to why we have such a large contingency of sexless men. And dating apps, because essentially this kind of gets back into why the single, broke, sexless male, but sex is a huge part of it. Sex is a huge part of it, because that's part of your biological imperative to go out and get your groove on, so to speak. But these guys are sitting around, they are not dating, they don't have relationships, and they're not building anything. Now let's talk about broke. Here's the thing, to be single, to be broke, to be sexless, not to have an agenda for your life, this creates a very dangerous animal that has no apathy for the human condition, none whatsoever. Here you are, broke. And this is one of the things that I have seen and I've had a lot of experience with. When I was trying to turn this into a business channel, I didn't get the views. And this is one of the things that perplexes me. I would have people come in here and would say these very words. Everyone isn't trying to be rich. Everyone's not trying to make money. So there's a contingency of people who are okay with being financially mediocre. They're okay with it. They're okay with it. So that's probably going to be the topic for a whole nother video. So you have that group of people who are, I'm not going to say happy, but they're okay with not making money, not building anything, not having a career. And this is one of the reasons that this animal is so dangerous, because If you will go to YouTube, you will see a massive wave of people who are living in vans, living in cars, living in SUVs. And this is something, there's a video, I don't know if the video is going to be before this one after, but there's a video, this is a growing trend. This creates what I call community displacement. I grew up in a house, I lived in that house until I left to join the military. My surroundings did not change until I actually left to go to the military. So I was in the same place, same house for 18 years. You have people that would sound foreign. You have people who literally move every year or sometimes twice a year. So they don't have community. They don't have a presence of community. They have nothing that they hold dear. And this is, once again, this feeds off into the danger because number one, you have no career, you didn't go to school, you're not educated, and you're just sitting around and you're developing your friendships online in an echo chamber. It's a bunch of men who have the same thought pattern, the same concept of being successful, and essentially, and this is something, I forget his name, but he was the son of a movie producer. And this guy actually had affluence, and he still fell into the single, he wasn't broke, but he was single and sexless, and he would see women and he would make these, why are you with him? You should be with me, without actually doing the work that is needed to actually do the things to grow themselves. That's just really crazy. And one of the things that will happen with this type of male, and it's a type, and society is producing these type of men like crazy. And honestly, there's self-accountability and there's the reality of the situation. And I honestly cannot say if this is the fault of the male or the fault of society, because there's so many interlacing points in this problem. And it's really a huge problem because that broke concept, and this is like one of the things I get is like, people do not feel that they can make money. They do not feel that they can groom something, that they can build something, that they can grow something. They don't feel it. So they, once again, to my video, you will be happy with nothing. They just settle into where they are in life. And with the most dangerous animal in the world, the single, broke, sexless male. Now, this is where things get out of hand. They form these online communities, and it's these communities of single, broke, sexless men, and the ideology of a single, broke, sexless man is running amok in these communities, and they build each other up and they support each other up. And I want you to actually go here on YouTube, do a little search on the men's channel, and literally you will see that we went from black men, white men, song artists creating these deeply passionate love songs to, I don't even know what to call what we have today. And this is how society has de-evolved, because these men, and I believe demo people, because demo people are a totally different characteristic, but these men are very close to demo people. And it would not shock me to see a demo person go off and kill someone, or a single sexless man go off and do bodily harm to someone because they're broke, they're single, they're sexless. What do those three things lead up to? An incredible amount of stress. a huge amount of personal stress. And this is one of the things that is happening in the situation right now. We have a ton of people who are seriously stressed out. We have a group of people who they have no relief, and they're just sitting around communicating with other men who have the same issues, and this is creating this dangerous animal. And when I say dangerous, I want you to think, and most of them are young. When they get to be 30, 40, 50, it tamps down a little bit. But if they're under 30, these folks can be extremely dangerous. And also, because they're growing up, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying, I don't know if it's their fault, I don't know if it's society's fault, because when I was growing up, there was pathways, there was people to lead you, to point you in the right direction. And I don't know if these guys actually have that. And one of the things that is happening is we're producing more and more of these people, more and more of them. And it's really, I don't even know how to classify it, because it's such a huge problem. It's such a huge issue. I'll tell you, I was having a conversation with a successful young YouTuber. Young man, they've actually formed a coalition of young successful YouTubers. They work together, they share together, they do all kinds of things. It's really a wonderful operation. And some of the stuff he said, because this dude was like 24, it's like, he said he got out of Atlanta because he was tired of people following him. Because this is a young, successful guy. He's got the cars, he's got the house, he's got the clothes, he's got the YouTube channel, he's got the fame, and he's got a woman. This is something that you would consistently see with a lot of these young, successful YouTubers. They'll have the cars, they'll have the money, and they have the women, which is the complete polar opposite of what the single, broke, sexless man situation is. And what I feel, I have no proof of this, but I feel that a lot of these young, successful guys are being followed and harassed by the single, broke, sexless men because of pure hate, envy, and jealousy. And it's one of the things, because when I was living in Atlanta, I kept a low profile, and I would see famous people all of the time. And I'm not a person that's just going to approach someone because you're famous and all this other. That's just not my way of doing things. But I noticed that a lot of these people who had made it were trying to keep a lower profile. It was interesting, because with this single, sexless, broke man, anyone can become a victim. Anyone become a victim. It just doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you live, anyone become a victim. And this is why I have made some strategic moves in the things that I am doing and the things I'm setting up, because I'm here to tell you, it's very interesting what's going on in society today from a gender point, because this is one of the things you consistently hear in the male spirit channel, that the women in the United States are untenable. You can't do anything with them. They're not traditional, they're not dateable, hence the whole thing. And once again, I'm just mentioning this is not gonna become a Passport Bro channel. I'm only a passport, and I'm gonna go here and find me one of these women. And when you watch the YouTube videos of these guys, I'm gonna say it, the majority of them are dweebs, the majority of them. And that's kind of part of the reason. But with the single, broke, sexless male, the big thing is these guys can become dangerous. These are the guys that will get access to a firearm and go to a playground, a public school, a college, or a shopping mall and just start shooting people. And it's because of their high levels of frustration and their high levels of angst. And they're just in a position where they will do a lot to the public with no regard to anyone else's public safety. And this is why we're having, and this isn't just in America. I remember watching this video and this guy was talking about the mass shootings in the United States, and he was in Thailand. And if you go to the Google machine, there are mass shootings in Thailand. So once again, we are growing up in a very dangerous world with a lot of people who will do whatever they will do to you or against you because they're part of the most dangerous animal in the world. And this is one of the things that you consistently see. How do you know the serial killer? And these are the people who do damage to animals, all right? What about the people who do damage to humans? What about them? What about them? So this is why this is getting more and more dangerous with these guys walking around in society. And honestly, I have no answers on how to help these guys out because they're in that echo chamber of men who are in the same position, speaking their language, using the verbiage, using the phraseologies, using the words and stuff that these guys use. And I simply have no clue to what's going to happen. I have no clue whatsoever.